Today on your calendar.
Today is the birthday of Osama bin Laden. Member of a wealthy bin Laden family. A shy boy for his mother. A bright student achiever of prominent Arab schools. A strong believer and preserver of Muslim doctrines. Born Osama bin Muhammad bin Awad bin Laden, also rendered Osama bin Laden. In Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in 1957. The seventh, others say it's 17th, of the 54 children of Muhammad Awad bin Laden, a Saudi Arabian billionaire from Hadramaut, Yemen. Founder of the construction company, Saudi bin Laden Group. He is the only child of his father's marriage to his mother, Aliyah Ghanem, 10th from 11 wives who hailed from a secular middle family based in Latakia, Syria. Osama barely came to know his father before his parents divorced, where at the age of 11 his father died in a helicopter crash. His mother took him to live with her new husband Muhammad Al-Aziz, where Osama got 4 step-siblings. Osama bin Laden formation was groomed in Jeddah in the relatively freewheeling 1970s, before the Iranian Revolution of 1979. He attended academy at a very prestigious Al-Thagr model school in the city. At 14, he was recognized outstanding, nobly focused with other sons of prominent Jeddah families to memorizing the entire Quran upon graduating in the institution. But in his second year, Osama bin Laden and some of his colleagues started twists of attitudes and styles to teen Islamic activism, pressing emphasis on the pure Islamic law, growing beards and wearing unbusinesslike clothes inkling to the principles of violent jihad. He graduated in Al-Thagr in 1976, same year his first child Abdullah was born from Najwa Ghanem, his first cousin who was promised to him. He married at the age of 18, and she was 14. 3 years later in March 26, 1979, Egypt signed a peace treaty with Israel while he was pursuing a bachelor's degree at King Abdulaziz University Jeddah, which shocked many citizens after the Islamic Revolution overthrew the Shah in Iran. Months after, Soviet troops invaded Afghanistan. This stirred local Afghan resistance, armed and funded by an international coalition that included the United States, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Pakistan, and China. Consequently, bin Laden denounced foreign crusaders and autocratic regimes in the Middle East. He joined the Mujahideen forces in Pakistan and relocated to Peshawar. Here is where he set up his training camp for the group of Islamic activists using his aid from the U.S. under the CIA program Operation Cyclone, from 1979 to 1989. He helped fund the Mujahideen by funneling arms, money, and fighters from the Arab world into Afghanistan, which won him fame among the Arabs. Just as with the Soviets in Afghanistan, bin Laden was against all foreign powers in the Muslim world. In 1981, he graduated in King Abdulaziz University Jeddah, believed to have attained a business administration degree. But there were also claims that what he attained was a civil engineering degree in order to join his family's conglomerate construction business. In 1988, 1 year before the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan, bin Laden founded Al-Qaeda, Arabic for the base, a secret network comprised of militant Muslims he had met while serving in Afghanistan. Soldiers were recruited for their ability to listen, their good manners, obedience, and their pledge to follow their superiors. Their goal was to take up the jihadist cause around the world, righting perceived wrongs under the accordance of pure Islamic law, carrying out global strikes against Western interests. 1989, Soviet Union left Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden returned to Saudi Arabia as a hero. U.S. referred to him and his soldiers as freedom fighters. Yet Osama bin Laden was quickly disappointed with what he believed was a corrupt Saudi government. And his frustration with the U.S. occupation of Saudi Arabia during the Persian Gulf War led to a growing rift between him and his country's leaders. He spoke publicly against the Saudi government's reliance on American troops, believing their presence profaned the sacred soil. He then stepped up raising. In 1992 he vanished from Saudi Arabia and shifted his base to Sudan, where among other things, he farmed and built roads. In Khartoum, Sudan, President Hassan al-Turabi dedicated to promoting a political agenda based on Islamic teachings. His formed al-Qaeda struck for the first time, claiming responsibility for a hotel bombing aimed at American troops in Yemen, but there were no American casualties. 1994 After continued advocacy of extremist jihad, the Saudi government froze his assets and forced him to relinquish his Saudi citizenship, and confiscated his passport. His family disowned him too. Undeterred, Osama bin Laden stuck to his beliefs and pursued his plans, with the ultimate hope that Muslims be unified by the battle and create a single true Islamic state. Osama bin Laden's actions were not unknown to the Sudanese government, and he was exiled from their country. Peer pressure from U.S. forced him to leave Sudan, feeling betrayed from what he perceived as the clear hope and home for a true Muslim state. He returned to Afghanistan and established a new base. 1996, to forward his goal, al-Qaeda detonated truck bombs against U.S.-occupied forces in Saudi Arabia. The next year, they claimed responsibility for killing tourists in Egypt. 1998, al-Qaeda bombed the U.S. embassies in Nairobi, Kenya and Tanzania, killing nearly 300 people and injuring more than 5,000. Having refuge in Afghanistan, he received protection from the country's ruling Taliban militia. He then issued a series of fatwas, religious statements, which declared a holy war against the United States. He accused the U.S. of the pillaging of natural resources in the Muslim world, and the family last saw Osama in their visit to Kandahar, Afghanistan in 1999, a place near the airport that Osama's troop had captured from the Russians. There came after a U.S. missile strike on one of Osama bin Laden compounds, a response to al-Qaeda attacks on U.S. embassies in Tanzania and Kenya. One public statement said an entourage of his immediate family had graceful ways finding him, where the Saudi and Western intelligence networks could hardly accomplish. 2001, Osama bin Laden had attempted, and often successfully executed attacks on several countries using the forces of al-Qaeda-trained terrorists and his seemingly bottomless financial resources. September 11, 2001, al-Qaeda shook the world with the most devastating attack. Nearly 3,000 civilians were killed and countless injured in New York City, Pennsylvania, Darlington, Virginia, when hijacked commercial airliners were slammed into all three locations. Two aircrafts collided into the World Trade Center towers. Another one crashed into the Pentagon. The last plane was successfully retaken, and crashed in Pennsylvania, where the intended target was presumed to be the United States Capitol. The attack triggered the War on Terror. Bin Laden remains a popular figure in some parts of the country, lauded by those who believe in him as under Allah's blessing. From 2001 to 2011, he was a major target of the U.S. with a $25 million bounty for his capture. In 2004, shortly before President W. Bush's re-election, Osama bin Laden released a video text message claiming responsibility for the attacks on 9/11. 2007, the U.S. Senate doubled the reward for his death or capture as al-Qaeda chief to $50 million. The CIA went after Osama bin Laden in international hunt where in May 2, 2011, he was shot and killed by the U.S. Navy SEALs inside a private residential compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, where he lived with a local family from Waziristan. The covert operation was conducted by members of the U.S. Naval Special Warfare Development Group Team 6, and CIA XADSDG operations on the orders of U.S. President Barack Obama. In an 8-month plan led by CIA Director Leon Panetta and American Special Forces, Osama was shot several times. His body was taken as evidence of his death, and DNA tests proved of his true identity. What remains of his immediate family has been allowed back into the Saudi kingdom. At least 2 of Osama's wives, one of whom was with him in Abbottabad when he was killed by U.S. Special Forces, and their children now live in Jeddah. Hamza, his youngest son who was later on officially designated a global terrorist by the U.S., and regarded to have taken up Osama's mantle under the auspices of al-Qaeda's new leader, and Osama's former deputy, Ayman al-Zawahiri, was also killed in a much later counter-terrorism operation. He was declared dead at the age of 30 in 2019 by the seated President Donald.
Don't forget to subscribe for more